Good morning everyone and welcome to this edition of the 1152 Club Online. Today I'm very pleased to be able to present a Black History Month special with contributions from our Curator of Social History Nicola Pullan and our Curator of World Cultures Adam Jaffer. Today's presentations both focus on the topic of music. So while Adam has a presentation for you on African musical instruments, we'll also be exploring some of the musical artists in our current exhibition at Abbey House Museum, Sounds of Our City. So I do hope you enjoy these two presentations, and thanks for joining us today.
Today I'm going to give a brief introduction to some traditional African musical instruments in the collection of Leeds museums and galleries. Most of these instruments date from the early to mid-1900s. They are mainly from West Africa, but similar types are used in other parts of the continent. While electronic instruments and forms of amplification are now used across Africa, many traditional instruments are made entirely out of natural materials, including wood, seeds, animal horns, and sometimes elephant ivory. In African societies such as the Yoruba of Nigeria and the Ashanti and Ewe of Ghana, music is rich in rhythmic vitality. There is a strong emphasis on rhythm and the use of percussion. Some styles use polyrhythms in which various instruments play their own rhythm with their own internal beat. These simultaneous rhythms create complicated patterns which at times interlock, resulting in a harmonious sound. Drums are one of the most common instruments found in Africa and are used by most ethnic groups. They represent a vast range of materials, shapes and uses. Drums are usually carved out of a solid piece of wood, but can also be made out of strips of wood bound together with metal hoops. One type of drum has a skin membrane on the top and is open at the bottom. A second type is covered by membrane at both ends. Skin may be attached by gluing, nailing, or lacing down with leather, gut, or string. The shapes of drums also vary, from conical, cylindrical, bowl to bottle, or hourglass shaped. Some are small enough to be held in one hand or under one arm, while others can measure up to 5 or 6 feet in length and 2 feet across. Despite the variety of drums available, each ethnic group in Africa tends to specialize in only a small number, and the techniques and rhythms often vary from region to region. Some drums can only be played on specific occasions such as births, weddings, funerals and other religious rites and rituals. After use, they are carefully stored away, sometimes in a room or small house that has been built especially. A popular type of drum is what is sometimes called a talking drum, like this one from Ghana. In the past, they were a method of communication from one person to another or from village to village. Beating a code on the drum can copy the change in pitch of the human voice. The drum is held under one arm and is struck with a hammer-shaped curved stick held in the other hand. The two skin membranes are joined together with lacings, and by exerting pressure on these lacings with the forearm, the drummer can change the pitch of the sound. The drum can talk by imitating well-known phrases with higher and lower notes. When repeated long and loud, the messages can travel across long distances between villages. Drums across Africa may be played on their own, in pairs, in large ensembles, or as part of an orchestra. Common percussive accompaniments to drums are bells, rattles, and the gong and tambourine, which are shown here. Next are mbiras or sansas, sometimes called thumb pianos. These instruments were reported by European travellers to Africa as early as the 1500s and are popular among groups such as the Shona people of Zimbabwe. They consist of a series of wooden, bamboo, bark, or more often metal strips arranged on a flat-sounding board and mounted on a resonator such as a wooden box, gourd, or metal tin. Most have between 8 and 12 keys. The sansa is often an instrument of relaxation and personal enjoyment, but there are some societies where it is played during rituals and ceremonies. Next, we can see a frame xylophone or balafon from Senegal dating to 1962. The wooden bars are tuned to different notes and struck with a wooden hammer. The tone is reinforced by the gourd resonators hung below. The quality of sound varies considerably between different xylophones and the type of wood they are made from. Soft, light wood can give a dull, deadened sound, while hardwood can give a clearer, more lively sound. Nowadays, 1 or 2 xylophones are played alongside many other instruments by bands who play in clubs, at parties, or more formal ceremonies. In the past, large orchestras of up to 10 xylophones performed on similar occasions. I'll finish by showing some stringed instruments which are used to provide melody. On the left, we have a simple 3-stringed lute made in Nigeria in the 1930s. It is the kind played by many casual musicians for local entertainment. On the right, we have a lyre, possibly from Uganda and dating from the 1920s. This example has a lizard skin covered soundbox, 8 strings, and a renewed wooden frame decorated with monkey hair. Lyres accompanied individual singers in the palace courts of East Africa. They were accompanied by drums and other stringed instruments. Lastly is one of the most beautiful African instruments, the 21-string Cora or harp lute. It is a relatively young instrument, only about 300 years old, and evolved from a smaller string instrument in the Gambia. It has a straight neck but is played like a harp. To make a Cora, a huge calabash, which grows on trees, is cut in half and covered with cowskin. It serves as a resonator to amplify the sound once a hole is cut to allow the sound of the plucked strings to escape. The Cora can create a beautiful cascading sound when played by a skilled musician. Today it is played across much of West Africa and beyond. That concludes my talk. Thank you very much.
One of the items that has been added into the Sounds of Our City exhibition over the last year has been this vocal score for the blind girl of Castle Cullet. The lyrics were adapted from a poem and the music composed by Samuel Coleridge Taylor. Coleridge Taylor was born on August 15, 1875 in London. His mother came from London and his father was originally from Sierra Leone and had been visiting England to study. As a child he was taught violin and clearly had a talent for music which his mother's family were keen to nurture. He went on to study at the Royal College of Music and established a career as a composer, and was even recommended for commissions by Edward Elgar. He died while still relatively young in 1912. We already had a couple of pieces of sheet music for some of Coleridge Taylor's compositions in the collection, but this particular one has a very strong link to Leeds. It was originally composed for the Leeds Music Festival in 1901. Live music has long been popular in Leeds, with many gig venues having a special place in the history of the city. Many genres have found an enthusiastic crowd here, from goth to jazz to indie and of course reggae. In this slide we have a selection of items highlighting some of the great reggae performers visiting and from the city. First up is a newspaper article currently on loan from Danny Fryer, talking about reggae performers the Bedrocks. They were a Leeds-based band who were pioneers in British reggae and made a fantastic version of Obla Di Obla Da. But if you want to find out more, you should look for Danny's talk about them on the Leeds Museums and Galleries YouTube channel. Next is a ticket from a Jimmy Cliff gig at the Locarno Mecca from June 1968. Jimmy was born in Jamaica in 1944 and by the age of 14 had taken to the stage. From the 1960s right into the 21st century, he has been a prolific musician and toured around the world, including of course his visit to Leeds in 1968. Some of his best known songs include You Can Get It If You Really Want, The Harder They Come, and even Hakuna Matata. The advert is taken from the Leeds student newspaper, Friday the 11th of June 1976, and it's an advert about the upcoming Bob Marley and the Wailers concert. By the time of his death in 1981, Marley was a hugely recognised reggae star, and he visited Leeds more than once during his career. Perhaps his most memorable visit was in 1973 when he played at Leeds Polytechnic, which is now Leeds Beckett University. That gig was recorded as an album which has survived, with tracks now available to listen to online. This advert from 1976 announces the upcoming gig is sold out, which suggests that his popularity continued after his earlier visit to the city. The vinyl ticket brings us a little more up to date. It's for a band called Easy Star All Stars, a reggae collective based in New York who performed at the Brudenell Social Club in 2014. They are best known for their reimagining of popular albums in their own distinctive style, with this gig being a 10th anniversary tour of their album Dub Side of the Moon, which is a reggae adaptation of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. Other albums have included Radio Dread and Easy Star's Lonely Hearts dub band. They've released original material but are better known for their covers. One of our most recent acquisitions is this cushion that was collected at the Mobo Awards ceremony held at Leeds First Direct Arena in 2017. The Mobos were first held in 1996 to provide a showcase to recognise the successes of many artists making music of black origin. It covered a wide range of genres including hip-hop, soul, R&B, grime, reggae, jazz and gospel. A large live event was held every year between 1996 and 2017 in different cities around the country, and most years it was televised. The first time the ceremony came to Leeds was in 2015, and it returned for a second in 2017. Sadly, this was the final large-scale live show that took place. The awards took a break, but they returned in December 2020 with a live YouTube stream and a BBC highlights show. Winners have been from all over the world, but have also included local names such as Corinne Bailey-Rae, who won the Best Newcomer Award in 2006. The last slide highlights a few objects from one of our more recent contemporary collecting projects. One of our community curators, Marek, has been working closely with Lee Arnold and several other members of the local hip-hop community since 2014. They have been building up a collection of material relating to hip-hop culture in the city. This has also included hosting a range of events for Hip Hop History Month every November at Leeds City Museum, with events such as markets, film screenings, workshops and other activities. They are currently working towards a large-scale exhibition in 2023 to celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip-hop culture. The items selected for the slide include a pair of Nike Air Jordans that were worn by the artist Lee Arnold, a vinyl copy of Taking Over featuring Tommy Evans, Nightmares on Wax, Geno Fam, Toz 180 and BTI, which was recorded and mixed in Leeds, and finally a t-shirt with the logo of the Hip Hop Historian Society, who have also been working with Marek.